Welcome to 12 Scholars, a brand new podcast dedicated to personal development. In this first series, we meet 12 inspiring people, all with a bias for being proactive. To learn more about personal development and how you can take your performance to the next level, visit our website and click the button to subscribe. In this week's show, we meet Ben Upfold, co-founder of CrossFit Ancoats and OperationFitUK.
There's strength in the pack. There's accountability in the pack. I think it's very difficult to self-motivate every day. Nobody's going to want to come last. So we're all going to work that little bit harder to not come last. Whose idea was it to start an outdoor CrossFit affiliate in what I think might actually be the wettest city in England? I don't know.
Ben is a personal trainer based in the heart of Manchester. He moved here 4 years ago and has since established himself as one of the leaders in the fitness industry. People may know Ben and his partner Susie for running the only outdoors CrossFit in Manchester. Every morning and every evening, they show up in order to help you show up. Ben has recently launched the newest gym in town, a dedicated fitness space designed specifically for high-intensity workouts. We sat down with Ben to discuss being proactive and how he helps others achieve more. Before we talk about personal development and being proactive, just talk to us a little bit about yourself and what brought you to Manchester in the first place.
So I moved to Manchester, as you say, about 4 years ago. I was taking a break from the fitness industry. I'd become sort of frustrated with the corporate melee of dealing with budgets and just trying to drive as many numbers into the gym as possible for profit. I wanted to get away from that after a level of frustration. Started working for a brief period of time in account management, and I met my partner Susie. We had the opportunity to either move to London or to Manchester, and Manchester seemed like a better opportunity.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, how proactive would you say you are?
I'd love to say I was a 10 out of 10. I think the reality, Bob, is that nobody's ever going to be 100% on that. And although I think my productivity is higher earlier in the day and earlier in the week, I suppose proactiveness is on that scale. It changes throughout the week, throughout the day, depending on how you feel. And I just do my best to get as much done each week and each day as I can possibly manage.
So what would you say is your most proactive time of day then?
Definitely in the morning. I'm usually up before 6. I'm working with one-on-one clients. We're running group classes. By the time that's done, I just feel like I'm on a roll. By the time I've had some breakfast and a cup of coffee, I've finished with the morning classes, it seems like a good time to then, whilst you're in that mindset, move on to the next task. Complete that, whether it's programming for one-on-one clients or programming the following week for the group classes, or working on the business itself and getting the marketing, the accounting and everything else done.
At what point in the day are you most least proactive?
Probably any time after the evening classes. My brain goes into pretty much a shutdown. I think we'll suffer from a bit of decision fatigue through the day. And I think you can be more productive in the morning. I think it's pretty much the same for everybody, whether you consider yourself a morning person or an early bird or not. I just think that early in the day, you've made fewer decisions that allows you to then be a little bit more sharp, a little bit more on point with what you want to do and prioritizing what you want to do, actually taking action rather than just overthinking. I think that fatigues through the day, almost as if you have a limited number of decisions you're capable of making in one day and you start running out. And I think anybody that's got a partner at home and you get home at the end of the day and you're trying to decide what to have for dinner is a prime example of decision fatigue where nobody wants to make a decision. I'll have whatever you want. I'll have whatever you want. No. We'll have whatever you want. Nobody can make a decision by that point of the day.
Are there any tools or techniques you get over to become more proactive or to avoid procrastination?
I think removing as many decisions from my day as I can possibly get away with. Simple things like I lay out my next day of clothes before I go to bed. It's a decision I then don't have to make that day. My breakfast, always the same. My morning routine is I could probably put down to a fine art. I could write the whole thing down. My workouts are planned a week ahead of time, so I don't have to make that decision. They're also diarised, so I know when I'm going to be doing it. I don't have to make that decision to go to the gym. It's there, it's in the diary. It's just my next thing to do.
So you're not actually waiting until you hit that low spot. You've actually structured your day, you've structured your week to make sure you're optimizing your day as best you can.
That's exactly it. I think having a plan going in keeps you proactive. It keeps you prioritizing what needs to be done and when it needs to be done. Being able to tick things off a list feels like you're achieving something, even if that's something as simple as getting up in the morning. First task of the day is make the bed. It seems like something really small, but it's the first thing that I've done, and it's the first box that I can tick every morning is I made the bed, brush my teeth, get dressed, clothes have already been laid out. It wasn't a decision, it was just part of the routine. Put the coffee machine on, have a coffee, have some breakfast, walk out the door, hit that first client. Already know what I'm going to be doing, when I'm going to be doing.
What was your plan when you first moved to Manchester then?
When I first moved to Manchester, Susie and I just wanted to spend more time together. We'd done the whole long distance relationship thing for about a year. I was working in account management. An opportunity came to actually live closer together in Manchester. The plan was really to just be closer to each other. How things were going to go from there was anybody's guess. I guess overthinking can be one of people's biggest problems, and I didn't want to overthink the situation. I just wanted to take action. Worst case scenario was things didn't work out and I moved back. Best case scenario, I hadn't even considered. It wasn't really important by that point. It was just taking each day as it comes.
You were still in the fitness industry?
At that point, I wasn't in the fitness industry. I was working in account management outside of the fitness industry and employment law, strangely enough. Realised fairly early in that sort of shift in business that account management, employment law just really wasn't my thing. Came back into the fitness industry, but wanted to do it on my terms. Susie and I have both got a huge passion for working out, for health, for fitness, and for spending time with other people. And we didn't want to have or work in that same corporate gym environment that we'd both become disillusioned with. So we started Operation Fit, our personal training company that worked with individuals either in their own home or outdoors in and around Manchester and the Ancoats area. We didn't have a huge amount of money that we could invest into it. We couldn't afford to open our own fitness space. But what was more functional than not being in the gym and actually being in the real world?
So you looked at the typical gym market, saw a gap in the market, and used that to your advantage? Yeah,
I think there's a lot of people out there that find your atypical gym kind of an intimidating environment. And I think if it feels intimidating, the odds of you actually wanting to get up from your living room and go there are diminished. And actually, we wanted people to feel more comfortable. We were working out in the urban environment where these people live, whether that was in the car park of their building, in their garage, in our car park, in an open public space. It didn't really matter so long as they were moving more.
What makes you so passionate about achieving more with others?
The great thing about working with others and working in a group environment especially is almost that wolf pack mentality. There's strength in the pack. There's accountability in the pack. I think it's very difficult to self-motivate every day. I think we can all do it to a certain extent, but that decision fatigue is going to kick in pretty early. Whereas when you're working in a group environment, you're either motivated by not wanting to lose, not wanting to come last. If we do a workout and it could be something as simple as we're all going to run 100 meters, and we're not going to call it a competition, we're just going to say we're all going to run 100 meters, nobody's going to want to come last. So we're all going to work that little bit harder to not come last. It might be that we want to come first. So it may not be a fear, if you like, of failure as much as a drive to win. And it doesn't matter which end of that scale that people sit. On top of that, you've got others that are always going to be going quicker. And that's inspirational. Seeing your own peers, your own friends go faster is going to drive you to push harder, because if they can do it, there's no reason you can't. And I think that group mentality, that group motivation during a workout pushes everybody to work harder. That point when you're in a group and you're in a workout and you genuinely feel like there's nothing left, it only takes you to look around and see somebody else still going that you realise that there's something in there left. I've still got one more rep. I've still got that little bit of energy to give to this. And I think that pushes people to work harder.
When we're talking group sizes, what sort of group sizes will you work with?
We work with groups of only up to 10 people in our group sessions. We keep the numbers restricted to provide the best possible coaching.
So there's no hiding at the back then?
This isn't your typical aerobics class where there can be 20, 30 people with a whole bunch of people hidden at the back and only the fittest people at the front. No, we have no particular structure in terms of layout other than safety. And rather than Susie or myself being stood at the front of the class yelling like a drill sergeant, we're in amongst the class. We don't want anybody to be hidden. We want you to move well. We want you to get the most out of every session. Let the numbers get too big and that gets diminished. Not to mention the fact that we need everybody to have the right equipment available to them. And there's a degree of safety. If you're going to be throwing a kettlebell over your head, we want you to be doing it safely. We don't necessarily want you to be at any sort of risk.
As a spectator, I've looked on your Ancoats CrossFit, and it's remarkable to see you interacting with people and put those smiles on those faces and actually spend time with those people.
Absolutely. I mean, we know all of our members by name. When people show up, there's a lot of chat, there's a lot of banter, there's a lot of conversation. It's part of that social accountability.
We're recording this now 7 days after I did a session with Ben and Susie, and that particular session, we were swinging those kettlebells as high as we could, thrusting from the hips, and gosh, I have to tell you that it wasn't the day after that my legs and thighs. It was actually 2 days later.
Yeah, that delayed onset of muscle soreness. There's a false sense of security the next day, but we can guarantee you it's in the post.
And what struck me was when showing up to your class, the camaraderie, it was the people, everybody knew each other's names, and there was a very welcoming atmosphere there.
Absolutely, and we have group chats going and running between the class. When somebody doesn't show up, there's always somebody that's going to be missing that person. And I think that, again, it gives that social accountability through interaction. When somebody's not there, there's always going to be a message in the group, or when you do show up, there's always somebody giving you a high five saying, "Oh, it's great to see you, you know, it's good to have you back."
So when you fail to show, you're not just letting yourself down, you're letting other people down as well.
Yeah, there's that feeling of being a part of something bigger. And I think that's a big motivator to actually getting up and showing up. Not to mention the fact that it's really easy to show up and do something with friends. It's much harder to show up on your own. And we certainly strive to create an environment where people are showing up to spend time with friends. It's an hour of training a day. It's an hour where you get to meet with friends, chat with friends, work out, high-five some people, and focus on yourself.
So how would you create that right environment then?
I think most of that environment's created predominantly just by bringing people together. In our classes, everybody's doing the same workout. It's scaled appropriately for each individual. And you'll have seen, Bob, from last week, one person might be using a 12 kilo kettlebell, another person might be using a 25 kilo kettlebell. But we're all doing the same workout. Because of that, there's a sense of familiarity. There's a sense of understanding and a sense of sort of shared experience in what's going on.
And very much going on a journey together.
Absolutely, and I think the fact that these people all have that same shared passion, that same shared journey, that same shared experience sort of drives them all to work harder.
When I attended your class last week, there were some basic rules where no one finishes until the last person finishes.
Absolutely. We found that in our group sessions, that again, I think because everybody's doing the same workout, the person that finishes first, people aspire to be the person that finishes first. However, that person, once they've got a bit of breath back in them, just wants to support everybody else that's still moving. And if you can imagine that process filtering down as people finish, usually the person that finishes last is the person that's getting the most support, getting the most cheering. And I think that helps drive people on.
And very much gaining strength from that discomfort.
Yeah, I think that intensity is by far sort of the independent variable most eliciting to change in the body and in life. I think the more you work at something, the harder you work at something, the more chances there are that something's going to change. I think repetition and remaining within your comfort zone is probably the biggest killer to progress, like across the board, not only in fitness, but in life and in business as well. Susie and I have found that the more things we do that take us out of our comfort zone, the better the business grows. The more we train outside of our comfort zone, doing the things that we're not good at, the fitter we get, the healthier we get. And certainly I think most of our members are going to attest to the same thing. They spend at least an hour a day with us outside of their comfort zone.
And can you spot in them, where that comfort zone is and when they're going into their comfort zone and where they're actually stepped outside it? Yeah,
absolutely. I think there are some little things that as an experienced coach, and I mean, I've been in this industry now 18 years, that you can spot when somebody's coasting. Some days they're going to let you know that they're going to coast, and they're going to do it on purpose just to get a bit of active recovery in, let the body catch up a little bit. And if they're going to give me a heads up, I'm not going to push them to break that process. The recovery is as important as the exercise itself.
So part of the skill in being that coach is actually getting the best out of all the people you're working with.
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody's different. We want to make sure that every one of our athletes, and we consider all of the guys that train with us as athletes, they're athletes of life. We want to make sure that every one of them is getting the best possible workout that day as possible. And that means knowing them well enough to ensure that they're moving well. And we have a simple charter of progress. We focus first and foremost on the mechanics of a movement, in as much as we want to maintain good posture, we want to move through a full range of motion. Yeah, but I think both of us just had a moment of sitting upright. But we want to make sure that people are maintaining good posture. They're moving through a good full range of motion and moving safely. Secondly, we want to look at the consistency of their movement. Does their first repetition look the same as their 100th repetition? If they can show good consistency, then and only then do we add in a level of intensity. Now, that intensity might come from trying to move faster. It might come from trying to lift more weight. It might come from trying to do more repetitions. But the second that consistency breaks down, we lower the intensity. Because ultimately, no workout is worth doing if it's not safe. And the intensity can only be as high as being able to perform an exercise safely.
What I noticed when I attended your class last week was it's not just Ben and Susie eyes looking at you. You've got the people around you holding to your account and making sure those press-ups you're doing are 100%.
Yeah, I think we've got guys that have been working out with us now for 3 years who, although they're not qualified coaches, they've had Susie and I scream at them enough about form and technique and mechanics and consistency to know what a good repetition looks like. And actually, they become, if you like, almost secondary coaches on the ground for the new guys who are just looking to move better and are maybe a little bit intimidated by what's going on. And I think that little bit of intimidation, that little bit of nervousness walking into a workout does people good. I think it's, I don't think that does any harm. I think walking into that environment, most of the people there are going to say they're nervous before the workout begins. But I think that nervous energy is what drives them to work harder. And I think the fact that they're in a group sort of makes that nervousness acceptable.
I believe, Ben, that you and Susie have got a new box. How would you describe what this box looks like?
In CrossFit jargon, a box is essentially our gym. We started off working entirely outdoors. We have been, for the past year, Manchester's only outdoor CrossFit affiliate. But with the development in and around Ancoats, with the drive on small businesses and entrepreneurs, it was about time we found ourselves a roof, essentially. The session that you did last week, Bob, it did pour with rain for pretty much the full hour that you were there, I think.
Which is unusual for Manchester, I know.
I know, yeah. I mean, whose idea was it to start an outdoor CrossFit affiliate in what I think might actually be the wettest city in England? I don't know. It seemed like a good idea at the time. Our gym, or as we call it, our box, should be opening this month and will give us a roof and a home for our athletes and our members.
For our listeners and readers who aren't familiar with CrossFit, how would you describe a box and how does it differ from your typical gym?
So when you imagine a typical gym, you tend to imagine a lot of machines, a lot of dumbbells, maybe some benches, a lot of treadmills, a lot of bikes, and a lot of people milling around who don't really seem to talk to each other. On the flip side of that, our facility is a more open space, filled with people who all know each other, who are probably spending more time talking to each other and socialising than they are even working out a lot of the time. And actually we do try and encourage exactly that, is that social interaction of people before and after the workout. The gym itself is a very, very open plan space with space to do pull-ups. It's got barbells, kettlebells, medicine balls, dumbbells, with a very, very open floor. Workouts are all pre-structured, and the only real machines in the facility are the people that are there.
And the common theme running through that is exercise is more fun, you get better results when working with other people.
That's exactly it. It's we want to make sure that people are meeting others, and meeting others of a similar mindset. I'm a firm believer that you are the average of the 5 people you spend most time with. And if you think about the 5 people that you spend most time with, are they inspirational people? Are they driving you to be better? And I think by spending time with people that you aspire to be like, you will become the average of those 5 people.
And how can we find out more about the new project?
So we have our social media accounts, CrossFit Ancoats, on both Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. We're super easy to find, or you can go to CrossFitAncoats.com and you can follow our progress and journey toward our new facility and expanding our business from there.
Fab. Well, wish you well with the new project of yours.
Thanks, Bob. It's been a pleasure being here. Thanks for your time.
That was Ben Upfold, one of those people who knows exactly how to inspire others, come rain or shine. In this episode, we learned more about being proactive and how you can achieve more with others. Ben's advice is to create daily habits that help you make fewer decisions. You should find others with a high achieving mindset, as do an average of the 5 people you spend most time with. When you find the right people, they'll help motivate, challenge and hold you accountable. You'll also be able to push yourself further and harder than ever before. Ben recommends you become uncomfortable for an hour every day, surrounding yourself with people who can help you become the change you want to see. For Ben, his newest project, The Box, wouldn't have been possible without the support of others, especially the athletes who attend his classes and his partner Susie. To learn more about Ben and meet other inspiring people, visit our website at 12scholars.com and join a tribe dedicated to personal development. That was a 12 Scholars podcast. If you liked the episode, be sure to tell one of your friends. My name is Bob, and I look forward to joining you next time.